Does every single U.S. state have a video game based in that state? Growing up in Las Vegas, Nevada, I was always extremely jealous of California, not because of the beaches or the perfect weather, but because they had a realistic sandbox game of a place they actually lived in. I of course am talking about... I mean, how freaking cool is it to be a kid walking up the streets of your city in Grand Theft Auto and getting to do all the things in the game you could never do in real life? And nowadays, tons of video games are taking inspiration from real life cities and putting it in their games, like this guy who found his New York City apartment in Spider-Man. But then it got me thinking, has every single US state had a video game that takes place there? Like, what kind of game could possibly take place in Delaware? What even goes on in Delaware? So in order to answer that question, I traveled to all 50 US states in video games. Now, I'm going off this list on Wikipedia, but there's a problem. It's not as reliable as you would think. For example, the list for Alaska includes Mickey Speedway USA because it includes a single racetrack there. Is that the video game that should represent Alaska? To me, we should be trying our best to pick games that are primarily based in that location. So my goal with each game is to get to a point in the game where I can definitively confirm it takes place in that state. A sign, a landmark, anything really. Now, some states are ripe with options like New York and California, and others I am literally scraping the bottom of the barrel and end up playing some of the weirdest games I've ever come across. But that's 50 games in total that we have to get through, so this is gonna take a while. Have a seat, grab a snack, take a nap if you need to, but most of all, I hope you enjoy this just as much as I enjoyed making it. Nevada has two cities, Las Vegas and Reno. Not even the capital of Nevada is a city, because who the hell lives in Carson City? No one. And I'm sorry to tell you this, Reno, but pretty much every game set in Nevada takes place in or around Las Vegas, and there is definitely no shortage of games in Las Vegas. Rainbow Six Vegas, Duke Nukem Forever, hell, even Looney Tunes Back in Action has a level taking place in the Las Vegas world. But when I think of Nevada and video games, there's only one thing that comes to mind. Yeah, I was pretty upset as a kid that Los Angeles got GTA 5, but we had Fallout New Vegas, where I got to walk down the streets of a post-apocalyptic version of my city. And it wasn't just Vegas either, it included the whole Mojave Wasteland and a bunch of surrounding towns too, like Primm and Good Springs. Now technically, as soon as you step outside Doc's office, you're already in Nevada, Good Springs to be exact, so I could end it here and say that I went to Nevada already, but I figured I should at least make it to the Strip. And if you've never played New Vegas before, the whole map is basically open for you to explore right from the start, but trying to get into New Vegas immediately usually means instant death. No. So I thought it'd be fun to put on my speedrunning hat and try to make it to New Vegas as quick as possible, purely off my own memory alone. No Googling. Okay, so from what I remember, we just have to go high charisma, right? To get into New Vegas. So we could probably get rid of my intelligence all the way up on agility so I can run as fast as possible. From memory, I want to say Vegas is somewhere over here, right? Okay, should be able to just slide on down here. Okay, all right. Our first, no. Just keep running. Don't look. No, I don't want to rebuild. Actually, wait. Well, I mean, maybe I'll be faster. Oh, I see it. I see Vegas.
This is a dangerous place, human, especially for your kind.
Get out of here, Neil. Oh my god. I don't remember any of this. Ah! That scared me. Oh, are you kidding me? I finally made it to Freeside, and man, it's been a while since I've played this game. Growing up in Las Vegas and playing this game is an experience that's really hard to put into words. It's super cool to see all the locations and match them to what I know in real life. Oh, this is also a real place. There is a Mormon fort in Las Vegas. And then they even have McCarran Airport. Fun fact, in real life, they changed the name to Harry Reid Airport. I'm sorry, Harry, but I'm not calling it that. But I've already spent a lot of time on this, and I've got more games to play, so it was finally time to enter the Strip.
Submit to a credit check, or present your passport before proceeding to the game. Please.
No, I don't have enough. Dude, what am I gonna do? I thought all I needed was... That guy just shot that guy. Okay, I completely forgot about all this other stuff the game does to stop you from entering. I thought you only needed like a high charisma level to get in. So I failed. I had to Google it. Someone said that you get your passport from Mick and Ralph's, but I also completely forgot where Mick and Ralph's is. But eventually I found a little boy I could harass the information out of.
Come to Mick and Ralph's for all your shopping needs.
What did you say?
Only at Mick and Ralph's.
Show me! Show me!
Stop by Mick and Ralph's for all your shopping needs, sir.
Where?
Mick and Ralph's is located just before the East Gate.
Can you point me in the right direction? God, you're the worst. They need to fire you. Mick and Ralph's, let's go, baby. We found it. I want passport. Give me passport.
If you're looking for guns, talk to Mick. Wow.
Are you kidding me? I thought I had 40 out of 50, dude. Okay, so I had to Google it again. Someone else this time said that you can steal some NCR armor from a locker and ride the monorail into the strip at McCarran Airport. And thankfully, I found it next to the world's dumbest NPC. Okay, just gotta sneak past him. Right. No! Oh, he's not looking at me again. Ah, he has no object permanence. He has no idea I'm right behind him. And with my disguise in place, it was time to go to Vegas. Oh, we made it. We made it to beautiful Las New Vegas. The Lucky 38, the Tops, Gamora. Oh, man. Oh, it's beautiful. I think this one is supposed to be the Bellagio, right? Like the Bellagio fountains? Look, this is Stratosphere. And now that I finally visited the Strip in a video game, we can mark Nevada off of our list, and there was only one thing left to do.
Well, what do we have here, huh?
Damn it! She said I'm too broke! Now, I don't know much about Idaho other than potatoes. Isn't there a game called Spud Rancher where you can grow potatoes? That's gotta take place in Idaho, right? Wait, no, I'm thinking about Slime Rancher. Anyways, the list of games taking place in Idaho is very small. Rainbow Six from 1998 has a mission taking place somewhere in Idaho, and Insomniac's Resistance 2 has a level in Twin Falls, Idaho. Now, I've never played that game, and I'm sure it's great, but that's just a single level in an entire game. And thankfully, I found a video game that takes place entirely in Boise, Idaho. It's called Slayer X Terminal Aftermath Vengeance of the Slayer. I don't know, that was like a rock pose. That's how they stand, I think, right? And when I first read the title and saw the Steam page for this game, I thought it was gonna be some lame indie game made by some random guy, because that's what it looks like. Except it wasn't lame at all, and it sent me down a rabbit hole for a game that I've never even heard of before. The game is stylized like a 90s edgy shooter game like Duke Nukem or Doom, but it's actually a sequel to another game called Hypnospace Outlaw. I didn't play this game, but just reading about it and seeing screenshots makes me really want to. It's basically a 90s simulation game taking place in an alternate version of 1999. You surf the web on this 90s web interface and solve cases of copyright infringement, cyberbullying, and illegal activity. But this game, Slayer X, is a game made by one of the characters in the Hypnospace game. It's all like some in-universe stuff. That's why it looks like it's some small indie developer that made it. It's intentional. And there was a whole lot of lore for this that I didn't fully dive into because I would probably get sidetracked, but it's obviously an over-the-top parody of the 90s edgy games. They even got the bad voice acting right.
Whoa, Zane. If you keep doing moves like that, I might let you go out with me.
Your hack blood power is growing.
The reading of that line has to be like that on purpose, right? Wow, Zane. And the game itself is actually pretty good, but I didn't have to play for very long for the location to be mentioned. In fact, it happened in the very first cutscene.
The cops are evacuating everyone in the city of Boise. Stay safe, folks.
Boise! We're in Idaho! So the game takes place in a fictional version of Boise where it was taken over by aliens. It doesn't seem like there's any other references. None of the famous Boise, Idaho landmarks like the old Idaho Penitentiary site or the Albertson Stadium. So unfortunately, Idaho, you don't get a game with realistic landmarks and you're probably not going to be able to find your house in this game, but you do get a kick-ass game that you can be proud of when they mention Boise, Idaho. Now, I expected there to be more games in West Virginia rather than Virginia. There is 7 in West Virginia, while normal Virginia has 42. That's insane to me. I can't even name a city in Virginia. I mean, I can't really name a city in West Virginia either, but they do have a catchy song and Virginia doesn't. For some reason, they list Cyberpunk 2077 on this list, and I know for a fact that game takes place in California. Wikipedia is really losing their credibility here. There is also a game titled Virginia, set in a fictionalized version of a town in Virginia, but I think a much much better representation for Virginia video games is a Civil War game. Because who wants to play a fictionalized version of your state when you can battle in the real-life locations of the Civil War? Gods and Generals released in 2003 for Windows and is based off the hit 2003 movie Gods and Generals, which according to Wikipedia received poor reviews due to being pro-Confederate slant. How a movie with 8% on Rotten Tomatoes got chosen for a tie-in video game is a complete mystery that's beyond me, but this game was published by Activision, so they must have really been scraping the bottom of the barrel here. In this game, you can fight as either the Union or the Confederates, and you take part in 3 real-life battles, all taking place in Virginia. Apparently, it was met with overwhelming dislike, named the worst game of 2003, and called a shoddy afterthought of an unrelated marketing campaign. I have to play this game. Now, I've played a lot of bad games. I love bad games. They're funny, they're hilarious, but I'm not exaggerating when I say that this is quite literally the worst game I've ever played in my life. Right after loading the game, I was immediately given hearing damage. Oh my god, this game is obnoxiously loud. Like, real loud. It's breaking the sound barrier right now. Another fun fact about this game is that it uses the same game engine as another game called No One Lives Forever. Even if you've never played this game and can't spot the similarities, the game makes it obvious because they forgot to change the text for the difficulty. So your options are easy, medium, hard, and super spy. Aside from the game itself feeling pretty dead with some boring objectives to complete and random enemies scattered throughout the empty map, that's the least of its problems. The shooting is more inconsistent than Nick Cannon's pull-out method. Bro, how many shots are you gonna take? Sometimes I'll try and shoot someone dead on and they just don't die, or they keep taking bullets. Other times I can one-shot them pretty easily. And the same goes for the enemies. There's multiple times I'm just standing right in front of an enemy and they're not able to shoot me. Oh my god, this is stupid. This is so dumb. And then the next time, they're able to shoot me immediately. Stop, swing. No, what? I think I just died. There is a sneaking feature in this game that you can do by crouching, except that it's completely useless. Dude, my crouch, I move like a f***ing snail, dude. All right, well, these guys don't know what hit them. They're gonna find out in about 2 business days. What? In this part of the map, there's some, whatever those wood stick pointy things. Well, instead of those blocking you from a certain area, they just put up an invisible wall right past it. I like how this isn't the thing that stops me. It's an invisible wall. Like, what is the point of that? But out of all of those issues, they pale in comparison to probably the dumbest AI that I've ever seen in a video game. Actually, just kidding. I was a Union spy the whole time. Die, Confederates! Does nobody care that I'm killing them right now? I don't think anybody cares, actually. What? Oh, God. What is this guy doing? Fight, soldier, fight! Oh, okay. But all of those issues aside, I did find a video game taking place entirely in real-life Virginia locations. Wow. Virginia's so beautiful. Wow.
California girls were unforgettable.
Second to New York, California probably has the most video games set in that state. If you think of a random game right now off the top of your head, there's a very strong chance it's either based in or off of New York or California. But let's be honest here, when anyone thinks of California and video games, there's only one game that comes to mind. E.T. the game was released for the Atari in 1982 and based off the movie where a little alien lands in California and he joins forces. No, just kidding. Of course I'm talking about GTA San Andreas. If you're under the age of like 23, your first experience with Los Santos was probably in GTA 5, which of course is based off of the real-life city of Los Angeles and its surrounding areas. And don't get me wrong, I love that game. I've also spent countless hours and hours in GTA 5. But before there was GTA 5, there was GTA San Andreas. And playing this game again for the first time in a long time sent me on a complete nostalgia trip. For a game that came out just 1 year after the Gods and Generals video game, it's amazing what they were able to achieve. One thing I love about this game is that as soon as you finish the first cutscene, you are free to do pretty much whatever you want to do. Oh, let's go, baby. Let's go. Let's go. However, the map also includes San Fierro and Los Venturas, which is San Francisco and Las Vegas respectively, which does open up later in the game after you do some missions. You can go there, but you'll immediately get a 4-star bounty on you. However, California is a pretty big state, and I didn't want to leave my Northern California homies out, so I wanted to at least drive across the Golden Gate Bridge for you. And to do that, I started by using my all-time favorite cheat in a video game. Let's go, baby. Oh my god. Oh my god, I miss this so much, dude. As a kid, the amount of hours I spent just flying around the city in a car is completely unmatched. Like, I don't even remember doing the main missions or completing the story. I would just fly around for hours and messing around in my Harry Potter car. I remember San Andreas also had a local co-op option too, and it was so janky. You couldn't explore the city separately, so you had to stay within a few feet from each other, and the camera would like zoom out from you, and it was really bad, but it was so much fun. Anyways, after using the flying cars cheat, I really got sidetracked for a little bit because it just brought back so many memories of playing this game. But before we headed to San Francisco, there's one other cheat that I needed to put in, and some might say it's the most important cheat of all.
Right, beat down.
Let's go! And with that, we were ready to make a road trip on up. Or, well, air trip. It's the Golden Gate Bridge. We made it to San Francisco, chat. Oh my god, I feel like Harry Potter, dude. I feel like Harry Potter. No! Oh my god. Okay, we gotta loop back around. Oh no, oh no. Whoa, whoa, whoa. What? Huh? Oh no. Oh no. Get out, get out, get out. How do I get out? No! New York, concrete jungle, wet dream tomato. New York is the #1 state that has the most video games set there, primarily in New York City. Look, I could have taken the easy way out, and I can already predict the comments now like, ooh, why didn't you play this game instead for New York? And the answer is, every single person watching this video has probably clocked in hours on a video game that takes place in New York. If you didn't spend your childhood running around the streets of Liberty City, then you probably swung around the city of New York as Spider-Man. And if you're not a Spider-Man fan, what about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? Or freaking Penguins of Madagascar? So I decided to shine a light on a lesser known game, and one that I personally haven't played either. The Godfather 2006 video game. Now, I've never seen The Godfather either, let alone played the game, so why exactly did I even choose this one? To be honest, I don't know, I just thought it sounded cool. It's an open world game taking place in New York City with some side areas like Brooklyn and New Jersey. I did drive all the way to New Jersey, but I'm not gonna mark it off of our list because that doesn't count. We gotta play each game separately. Every state deserves its own game. They actually got a lot of the original voice actors from the movie to voice act in this game too.
Thank you, Luca. My most valued friend.
Don Colio.
It is pretty weird that this game decided to come out 34 years after the release of the original film, but I think it was to promote the new box office set or something of all three movies. At least I think that's why, because there's a trailer in the game for the new box office set.
Own The Godfather on DVD.
Or they just wanted money. The gameplay has all the same features as your typical open world GTA game. You can hijack cars. Really, they gave me a star? Dude, come on! You ran right in front of me! That is your fault. Shoot people. Oh god! Oh god! I did not expect him to have a submachine gun. Just dick around and have fun. Oh, yes, I can. Oh, you don't want to mess with me. You shouldn't have punched back, dude. Wait, execute? Oh my god! I just straight killed him! Sir? Are you okay? But one of the biggest features of this game that sets it apart from Grand Theft Auto is the feature where you go around to businesses and beating up innocent business people so they pay you for protection. Also called extortion, but I like to call it a lot of fun.
Okay.
Extortion time.
Nice razors here. How sharp are they?
And also, according to Reddit, there's a Wii version of this game that uses the motion controls during the extortion feature. I'm kind of upset that I didn't get to play that version. I played this game for about an hour, just driving around the whole map, seeing what kind of landmarks I could spot. Oh, hey, I recognize that building. That's the Daily Bugle. I even made it to the Empire State Building, but unfortunately you couldn't go up to the top or anything. I even tried looking for a plane, but sadly I couldn't find one, because I really wanted to land on the roof and get a view of the city.
He's got a gun.
I have a gun? No, I don't. I got a baseball bat. False information. I'm gonna sue you. Anyways, the Godfather game is just one of the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of games taking place in New York City. So if you're upset that I didn't play Spider-Man, here's a photo of Spider-Man at the Empire State Building. Are you happy? If it wasn't for the city of Detroit, Michigan would not have very many options for video games. Apparently, Aperture Science Labs from Portal is based somewhere around Michigan, but you also take place entirely inside of a locked facility, so that doesn't really count. However, Detroit has its own section dedicated on the list, and obviously the most obvious choice here is Detroit Become Human, but I think that's too cliche. Inside the list of games taking place in Michigan, there's the list of games taking place in Detroit, and inside that list, there is another list labeled Games Based on RoboCop. And thanks to RoboCop for taking place in a futuristic crime-filled Detroit, we have 8 more games added to the list of games taking place in Michigan. And why exactly is there 8 RoboCop games? I don't really know, but the more important question to ask is, which one do I play? There is a new RoboCop game that just came out, but I ended up going with the first 3D game, which is the 2003 RoboCop for the OG Xbox. It scored pretty bad reviews, but it couldn't possibly be worse than Gods and Generals. Now I want to preface this by saying I've never seen RoboCop. Boo, this guy hasn't seen RoboCop. Boo! I'm aware of what RoboCop is, but this is my first experience actually interacting with it, so is it supposed to be cheesy, or is it just the video game that makes it feel that way?
Good evening, RoboCop. We've received a distress call from a store owner in the eastern sector of Neo-Detroit.
It's so funny to me because, like, I know his name is RoboCop, but I never considered the fact that people just call him RoboCop. The gameplay itself is fine, I guess, other than the aiming being inverted, which I think is a common thing with these older games, which pisses me off because I can't change it. I don't know who in their right mind uses inverted controls for aiming, but wow. Can we take a moment to look at that beautiful city of Detroit, Michigan? You go around as RoboCop with your little RoboCop armor and your RoboCop gun, and you shoot bad guys and complete these objectives. It's all pretty basic. The voice acting for this game is kind of funny though, because the only thing RoboCop says is the words of the things that he's picking up off the ground.
Ammunition. Energy.
He sounds like an 8-year-old kid role-playing as RoboCop. I can't imagine RoboCop being my coworker and all day in the office you just hear, coffee, creamer, Excel spreadsheet, database. Anyways, I'm pretty sure he talks in the movies. I don't know why they didn't give him any lines, but at least the voice actor got a pretty easy paycheck. But I will say, the criminals really put their whole RoboCop in the role. Oh no.
Oh, yeah.
No, RoboCop, he has a minigun. What do you mean, oh yeah? Oh, that was... It was surprisingly easy to find a video game based in Kansas, and that's because it's part of the Wild West region for video games. But most of the time they just vaguely say it's in the area with no specific mention of where, but there is a game where the first and major city takes place in Dodge City, Kansas. Gun came out in 2005, 1 year after Red Dead Revolver. Red Dead Revolver was more of an on-the-rail action shooter with no open-world aspect at all, and while it was a good game, it wasn't highly praised like the Red Dead Redemption series games later on. And Gun came out shortly after and blew the competition away when it came to Wild West open world games. For 2005, it was pretty impressive for the time period and what it was able to accomplish, and this was my first time playing it, and I can confirm that, yeah, it was kind of fun. Wow, look at those beautiful Montana mountains. But that's not our stop. We gotta find Kansas. I will say a downside though is the controls were really dumb and extremely hard to get used to. Oh, my B. But for some reason, RB is to shoot. That's kind of a weird control, but okay. But I think that's a matter of the time period. We really take for granted modern games having standardized controls. Like, who the hell thought putting the reload on the left stick click was a good idea? No one does that. Before we made it to Kansas, though, we run into Tom.
What's this? Give me that back. Meant no harm, friend. I thought for certain you were dead. I kicked you 3 times. Who are you? Friends call me Honest Tom.
I like Tom. He seems like a pretty cool guy. I think me and him are gonna be friends. He gives me a short tutorial for the game, but I do find it kind of odd because he says it out of character. Like he knows that he's in a video game, but it's actually really strange and it threw me off.
Press the sprint button to spur your horse.
Anyways, now that Tom taught me how to properly ride a horse and kill things, it was time for me and my new friend to hit the road.
God damn it, it took you long enough. Let's kill this bastard.
Wow, I trusted you, Tom. Shortly after, we finally made it to Kansas. You know, I've driven through Kansas, but I mean, isn't Kansas more like green? Isn't it a lot more green than this? But before checking Kansas off our list and leaving the world of Gun behind, there were a couple things I wanted to test in the game. Dude, nobody cares if I just point a gun at them. What happens if I shoot this bottle? Oh God! Uh-oh. Dude, I just straight blew that guy's head off and nobody cares. I didn't think it would let me do that. The reticle was blue. Dude, nobody cares. I could just shoot people and everybody's like cool with it. It's like, all right, you've killed 2 people, but if you kill 1 more person, oh. Now, I thought I was gonna struggle to find a video game here, but thanks to a lady named Carmen Sandiego, we have a game called Where in North Dakota is Carmen Sandiego? Released in 1989, it is the only game in the series that is based on one specific state. It was mostly used to educate North Dakotan kids about their state, but it was also used as a test run to see if making games for specific locations could be financially viable. And why exactly was North Dakota the first state they chose to try that in? A state with only 700,000 people? I do not know. But only 5,000 copies were made for schools, and it was extremely rare and almost lost to time. But thanks to this guy in the Video Game History Foundation, it was preserved before all copies were lost and destroyed. And even though the game came out in 1989 for the Apple II, I can now play the game in 2024 on a Windows PC using archive.org. It's really hard to read on my screen, but I guess in the video it looks better. It looks better from far away and really small. I don't think this game was meant to be played on like an ultra wide 2131 by 9 Ultra HD HDR monitor. I think it's just unnatural. Well, that was until I got to this part where it asked me to insert the B-side to keep playing the game. I didn't know how to do that, and the website didn't have any comments either, so I googled that exact phrase and came across someone on Reddit asking that same question I am, except no one responded to them. Searching the phrase in quotes on Google leads to no results except that one Reddit comment, which means me and this random Reddit user are the only people on the entire internet looking for an answer on how to play this game. Now, I almost gave up because downloading the game gave me a .waz file, and you need to have an Apple II or an Apple II emulator to play that, and all of that sounded really scary to me, and I didn't know how to do all that, and also I don't know if that would have been illegal to admit, so in this case, I allegedly downloaded an Apple II emulator, all because I didn't want to let you guys down, and then, unable to register for print screen keys. Do I need that? Oh my god, I think it's working. Oh my god, I think this is way easier than I thought it was. Please insert where side B to drive 1. Okay, this is drive 1. We're gonna insert side B, and we're gonna hit return. Let's go! Welcome to Grand Forks, home of the University of North Dakota. North Dakota. Now, I've never played a Carmen Sandiego game, nor have I ever been to North Dakota, so I don't know if my struggle with playing this game was one or the other or both. A source reports the imposter was seen reading a book by Lila Holfeen. Oh god! It took me 3 hours to question them? God, I'm the slowest detective in the world. Little Beaver Creek to the end of the central time zone, which means that he went east, right? I don't know where any of these places are. I don't know which one's the I-94 Sterling. Do I need to know North Dakota knowledge in order to play this game? Because I don't know geographically where any of these cities are. But regardless, I think it's pretty cool that North Dakota isn't left in the dust when it comes to video games, and they actually have a really cool piece of history attached to them. That's super cool, North Dakota. I think that's awesome. I'm sorry I made fun of you guys sometimes. I do still believe that you guys need to merge with South Dakota though and just be called Dakota. Now, I've been at this project for about a week now, and I typically try and only play each game for about an hour or so, just enough to get a feel for the game and visit the state I need to and move on to the next game because I have 50 games to get through. And unfortunately, I played another game for a different state and I got sucked into it, and I've now clocked in 8 hours for that game and I can't stop playing. But we'll get back to that later. So I started working on South Dakota because I figured it would be a quick little section of the video. I could not find a game taking place entirely in South Dakota, but there is the Crew 2 where I know that you can drive to Mount Rushmore, but that's $50. However, there is another game where you can visit Mount Rushmore, and that game is called Sam and Max Hit the Road, and it's only $7. It also has overwhelmingly positive on the Steam store. I wonder what people are saying about this game. Oh, okay. 10 minutes into this game, I can already tell why people love this game and these characters.
Yikes! Huh? He's not a real guy, Sam. Can I keep his head for a souvenir?
Oh my god!
Do you suppose it's ticking?
Max is insane! Just ripped his head off!
That's no head, Max.
The writing and the humor actually made me laugh out loud for a couple of scenes.
Have you seen Conroy Bumpus?
No, I try not to listen to country music. When I do, I usually have an uncontrollable desire to drink a lot of beer and do illegal things to farm animals. You too?
What the? How Pavlovian.
and you should know.
And there definitely was a couple of moments that the reviews were talking about.
Nah, we just had problems with thugs stealing our restroom keys. They're the cleanest in 9 counties.
The keys?
The restrooms.
You need some help, little buddy?
I think I can handle this myself, Sam.
That's one. That is one for sure.
Want to ride the Tunnel of Love?
Yippee!
Now, Sam & Max is a point-and-click adventure game that I thought was aimed at kids, so I figured I would just breeze past it and really quickly make it to South Dakota because it's only a small section of the game. But after an hour of running around, talking to people, going back and forth between different locations and getting stuck on the puzzles because they were actually pretty hard, or I'm just a dumbass, I sucked it up and I looked up a walkthrough. And finally, after 3 hours of playing this game that was actually kind of enjoyable, I'm not complaining, it was a good game, but I was just tired of it, I finally made it. Let's go, baby, we're here! We made it! We made it, and it only took 3 hours. Oh man, was it worth it? I don't know. We probably should have just played the crew 2 and made it there instead. Massachusetts is the #1 state with the funnest name to say, but it's also a state with rich American history. There are some good horror games taking place there due to its ties to the Salem witch trials, but the most well-known game would be Fallout 4 taking place in post-nuclear Fallout of Boston. But we've already played a Fallout game for Nevada, and I think a way better choice of a game to represent Massachusetts is a game where you take part in the actual Boston Tea Party. The Assassin's Creed series was such an integral part of my childhood, and I can thank these games for teaching me everything I know about world history. And the OG games were some of the best games I played as a kid that I sunk hours and hours into. And we're so lucky that we got an OG Assassin's Creed game taking place in America during the Revolution. There's nothing better than listening to Benjamin Franklin talk about sex.
Well, it's true, and believe me, I should know. I've sampled a great many. You should try one as well. Like a fine wine, they only improve with age. Although I suppose if left unattended too long, some have a tendency to sour. And that, my friend, is a most unpleasant experience.
However, something about Assassin's Creed 3 makes it the weaker of the bunch. Maybe it's because I didn't feel as strong of a connection to the main character. I loved Ezio Auditore, Altair, Edward Kenway. I remember Leonardo da Vinci giving Ezio the flying machine. That's one moment that's ingrained in my memory. But yet, I can't remember a single damn thing about Connor, or any of Assassin's Creed 3. Even though the setting for the game is super interesting, it's just not one that I played a ton of back then, and I don't really know why. But revisiting it, I can also see that the AI is pretty bad in this game. I'm just a friendly tourist trying to see the city. Did he see me? Boy, they really gave up easily, eh? Wow, y'all have the memory of a goldfish. Oh man, what did I do now? I was just trying to pet the cat! Also, the kids are a little annoying. Ow. You trying to fight me? But nonetheless, the setting was really cool, and it was pretty fun to go back and explore some of the historical Boston locations, but the game doesn't actually mark them on the map or anything, which I think is kind of weird. But thanks to this YouTuber who uploaded some helpful videos of where to find them in the game, I was able to find some of them. Like, here's Paul Revere's house. You know, I'm not gonna lie, I always thought Paul Revere was like a fictional character, like Paul Bunyan. And the Boston Commons, the oldest public park in North America. Was it just a bunch of tents? And whatever this is supposed to be. Let's even get to the tip. I mean the top. Oh, I can't go all the way to the tip. And even though this game takes place in a transitionary period between Britain and America, they still made me feel right at home. Oh my god, these people really hate it when I run. What is your issue with did people not run back then? Is that suspicious? Dude, hey, you are escalating to lethal force already. You guys have been Americans for like 2 years and you guys are already shooting me. While also being the smallest state in the US, it's also among the list of the least amount of games taking place there. Most notable is pretty much every Family Guy video game, which there's a lot of for some reason, since they live in the fictional city of Quahog, Rhode Island. But there's also a superhero MMO from 2004 that takes place in the fictional city of Paragon City, Rhode Island, and although it's not a real place either, I think it still counts. The game actually shut down a while back, and some dedicated fans have been running their own servers in secrecy until eventually they were able to officially license themselves from the publishers, and for this being a 20-year-old MMO, it's crazy how many people are still playing this game. And there are some extremely dedicated fans out there, because on the forums, I checked out the new player's guide before I hopped in, and this post is 10 times longer than the Declaration of Independence. Okay, yeah, I'm not reading all that. I'm gonna figure it out. So after reading the new player's guide, it was time to make my character so I could visit the great state of Rhode Island in a video game. Let's do mutation. I think I identify most as a mutant. My power is assault rifle. Let's do stone prison. Enter name here. We will be American boy with the power of assault rifles and prison. Let's make him 4 feet tall. Oh god, the default costume is already pretty perfect for him. Auras, what is an aura? Oh, come on, what's the most American thing on here? A rainbow? Well, it is Pride Month. After playing Assassin's Creed, I was feeling pretty inspired by America, and the character creator is actually pretty in-depth. I wanted to try and make him as American as possible. Unfortunately, American Boy was already taken by another superhero, so I had to get a bit creative. American Boy Man Boy. And now it was time for American Boy Man Boy to visit the great state of Rhode Island. Wow. Look at how awesome Rhode Island is. Hi. Can I eat? Oh shit. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to whip out my weapon. I don't know how to put it away. Actually, I don't know how to do anything. I really thought that there would be 0 video games taking place in Arkansas, but the truth is so much worse. Listen, people of Arkansas watching this video, which is probably statistically like 2 of you, I'm sorry. If there was any other game I could choose for this, I would. Redneck Rampage released in 1997, where you go around shooting hillbillies to the loudest and best country music I've ever heard. So I realized that the song is copyrighted, but right when you join the game, it's blasting in your ear as loud as possible, and the song playing is called UFOs, Big Rigs, and Barbecues, and yes, it's as great as it sounds. Just look it up. I promise you won't be disappointed. The game is basically if you took the original Doom or Duke Nukem games and reskinned them to have everything take place in Arkansas. How do I reload? Ooh, where are we at? To East Interstate 20. Is that a real interstate? I got hit by a car! Playing this game was pissing me off because I'm not used to old school shooters like this, so the controls made 0 sense to me. How do I get some alcohol? I want to get some alcohol. Oh, page up and down is to look up and down. Okay. You don't even use WASD. Oh, you use the arrow keys. Okay. Really, most of my issues came because apparently the Steam version is really bad of a port, so I had to re-download it on GOG to get it working right. But aside from those issues, the game was also extremely difficult. Dude. No, I don't understand. How am I supposed to not die? I even put it on wuss mode and I was dying over and over again. What the f is that? That is not a redneck. At one point I started walking sideways and I thought that my controls were getting all messed up again, but really it was because the only way to heal was by drinking alcohol. Dude, these are the dumbest controls ever. How do you even use this? How do you... Oh my god. Oh god. I've gotten too drunk by accident. I don't know what I did. I'm very intoxicated. I can't even walk anymore. I'm sure the game was fun for its time because I found some people online having some fond memories of it, but I did not have a fun time with it other than the banger soundtrack. Oh, and all of this takes place in the fictional town of Hickston, Arkansas. I'm sorry, Arkansas, that's the best you got. Minnesota has such a rich culture. I'm very surprised that there isn't more video games taking place there. You have the Twin Cities, Prince is from there, land of 10,000 lakes. Fun fact, the Lakers were originally from Minnesota, hence why their name is the Lakers. But as far as video games go, there really ain't much to it. You have a few Tony Hawk games having some levels in downtown Minneapolis, or this hunting game that keeps popping up on every one of these goddamn lists. And all of those are pretty lame choices, except for one video game released in 2010 by Telltale Games. In Puzzle Agent, you play as Nelson Tethers working in the puzzle department for the FBI, and like most Telltale games, it is very story heavy, basically an interactive movie with the primary gameplay being puzzles, obviously. And the story for the game starts with you getting a mysterious letter to investigate an eraser factory in the fictional town of Scroggins, Minnesota. As far as the setting for the game goes, I think it actually did a really good job. Sure, it's not a real town, but instead of the game just making up a town and plopping it into a random state and calling it a day, the game actually makes a lot of references to Minnesota. When Nelson arrives, he says that it's cold.
Just arrived in Scroggins, Minnesota.
Let's go, baby, Minnesota!
Population, 754. Temperature, it's cold.
That is true. Minnesota has rich Scandinavian history, so some of the townsfolk have Scandinavian names.
Bjorn.
Bjorn?
Yeah?
Nice to meet you, Mr. Bjorn.
Hey, that's my dog's name. Come here. Come on. Come here. Look, see, this is Bjorn. The front desk lady has a very strong Minnesota accent.
Well, hello there, mister. Welcome to Val. I'm Martha Garrett, but everyone calls me Ma. How can I help you?
And they even mention Minnesota's famous food.
Ooh, I'm gonna make some hot dish for you later.
Hot dish, I know what that is. That's like casserole. Tater tot casserole. The puzzles themselves were pretty entertaining, other than the fact that some of them were a little difficult. Great. Okay, well, there's 2 red and there's 3 red and 2 green. So in this one, there should be 2 red and 3 green. This one matches this one. That one. While others were stupidly easy.
Mind if I have a look? I bet I can figure out what room I'm in.
I don't know, Walter. Or what was his name? Arthur? Walter? Forgot his name. Nelson. Where'd I get Walter from? Security-minded night clerk notated Nelson's room number in cryptic form. Help Martha see what's written so you can get your keys. 9? That's easy. That is so easy. Let's go, baby! I thought that I was gonna get tricked. And it's nice there's a fully fleshed out voice acting, even if Nelson sometimes sounds like he's recording his lines on the toilet.
I got a map from the hotel owner, so I'm heading over to the eraser factory. Agent Tether's out.
The game is only a few hours long, but there is a puzzle agent too. And sure, it's not a huge open world game in Minnesota, but I really think it does the state justice. Surprisingly, it was really easy to find a video game taking place in Oklahoma, and I mean this when I say this. It was the coolest game I've played since starting this video. Most people might remember Prey from 2017 by Bethesda. It's a great game, yes, but before that, there was the original Prey released in 2006 for Windows and Xbox 360. The games aren't really connected, and Bethesda mostly just used the name with some references to the OG Prey, and this was my first time playing this game, and if I would have played this back in 2006, I bet it would have blew my little 10-year-old mind, because even in 2024, every little detail of the game was blowing my mind. I could flip up the toilet seat, and I can even turn on the hairdryer. Dude, and there's reflections in this game. There's a real mirror that works, a working hand dryer, and a working light switch, and the faucet, and the soap. Oh my God. And the sink fills up, and the water goes down. This is insane! I spent like 15 minutes in the bar just touching every little thing I could. They had a working jukebox with copyrighted music that I can't play in this video. I want mommy, waste your time on me, voice inside my head. A working Pac-Man arcade machine, and even some slot machines and blackjack. You play as Tommy. Everybody say hi, Tommy. It begins in an Oklahoma bar on a Native American reservation, but then it gets sucked up into a UFO, and let me tell you, the opening sequence to this game had my jaw on the floor. It was one of the coolest opening sequences I've ever seen in a game. Dude, this is crazy. Like, I feel like I'm really there. Dude, I don't know what this game is about at all. So, like, seeing all this is pretty trippy.
What the hell are they doing to these people?
Holy... Oh my God, what is going on? And now your goal is to save your girlfriend and stop the aliens from doing to her what they did to your grandfather. Oh no. Oh no.
I shall await you.
Oh no.
In the
No.
land of the ancients.
No, I know what happened last time.
Oh my God.
Oh!
No!
God, this game is so messed up. This game doesn't even feel like it came out in 2006 because every few minutes I was just blown away by the little details in the game. You know, I have a feeling I can kill him.
You're better off this way.
Oh God, I don't know what I expected. Like in this part, there's a guy that turns off the machine for us that just killed my grandpa.
Oh God, what did I just do?
Oh no. Oh no. I just turned it back on. Like, the fact that I can turn the machines back on and hear the people screaming and your character actually reacts to it, it's completely optional, but it's a very nice touch. Oh, and a big part of the game is portals. This game had portals before Portal even had portals. Wait, what? Ah. Can I shoot myself? Ow! They also had some anti-gravity areas that was definitely making me dizzy. Like, look at my dumb ass moving my head during this part. Look how silly I look. This part was really cool. You see this moon in a small box, and then you turn around, and then suddenly you're on that moon in the box fighting aliens. Oh, I'm in the...
Oh
Where
my
am
God.
I? Oh, I'm in the box. What the... Dude, this is insane! The game is heavy on Cherokee culture, and the main character is Native American. The devs actually hired a Native American voice actor to prevent any stereotypes, and the actor said they were really respectful with changing or adding any feedback that he had, which to me is pretty respectable. Yeah, most of the game takes place on a spaceship, but the story starts and ends with them in this Oklahoma bar, and considering the state has the most Native American culture in the country, it is cool to see this represented respectfully in a video game. I consider this a huge win for Oklahoma. Illinois has a lot of video games taking place there, pretty much all of them in Chicago, because let's be honest, can you even name another city in Illinois? There's Mafia 1, which is kind of based on Chicago. Perfect Dark is a futuristic version of Chicago. Home Alone, the video game, technically takes place in Chicago because that's where the movie's from. But none of those games represent Illinois better than Watch Dogs. There's no denying that Ubisoft makes great games, but I feel like as of recently, there hasn't been much innovation lately. All of the games and sequels just end up feeling kind of the same. Don't get me wrong, Assassin's Creed Shadows looks cool, but I'm just not as excited for it as I would have been like 10 years ago. But when they revealed Watch Dogs for the first time, that had everyone hyped. The trailer looked sick, the things you could do in the game were like nothing we've seen before. Look how badass Aiden looks. And then the game released and it was nothing like what they originally showed. Of course, the game was still pretty good, but it led to a lot of disappointment and it just wasn't the game that was originally shown off. But there's actually a mod called Living City that completely revamps the game and adds in a lot of cut content, and it was a great way to go back and play this game. It didn't even feel like the game is a decade old. The shooting feels nice, the city feels lively, and nothing is more satisfying than causing accidents by changing the stoplights.
Breaking up, I can't hear you.
No, you can hear me perfectly. You need to stop right now.
Yeah. Hello? Still there? I can't hear you. Okay, gotta go.
Explosions, dude. And of course, Aiden Pierce is a complete badass, and that trench coat is iconic. And it's nice for Chicago to have this big open world sandbox for their city, which they can roleplay as a hacker and wreak havoc. Even if you've never played Watch Dogs before and you have a PC, I would recommend going back and playing it with this mod. It's a completely different experience, and it just makes the game even better. I know I've made a lot of videos in the past making fun of Arizona, but if there's one nice thing I can say about it, it's that But Arizona definitely isn't lacking in the video game department. There's the entire Postal series, Arizona Sunshine, hell, I even contemplated playing Cars the video game. But I ended up going with a game that features the two things I associate most with Arizona: cowboys and hell. Dark Watch is a 2005 video game that is a forgotten Western game that no one really talks about. Before Gun, Red Dead Revolver, and all those other mainstream cowboy games, there was Dark Watch, where you play as a vampire cowboy shooting other vampires, and there's this cool hot girl sidekick that tags along with you, and oh, also you have a vampire horse.
Let's see if you can ride as good as you shoot. What is it?
Oh, I can ride. I can ride all right. Oh my god! Hell yeah, vampire horse, let's go! You know how Twilight is corny vampire stuff for girls? Dark Watch is corny vampire stuff for boys. All of it is very corny, and I know it is, but yet I can't help but think how cool it is. It all just feels so over the top and perfectly calculated to appeal to the male fantasy, but when it comes to the vampire stuff, they just drop in random little references as an afterthought. Like they just remembered that they need to relate the game to vampires somehow. The very first power you get is just called Vampire Jump. If you go through some of the reviews for the game, the most used adjective they use to describe it is just cool, which makes total sense because the game is just the definition of cool. That's all it is. It's a cool game. The gameplay itself is fine. It definitely starts to show its age though. It kind of feels like playing those arcade zombie shooters from Dave & Buster's, except you can just move around a bit more. But that's a product of its time. At the end of the day, it's just a pretty cool game. And the game does take place in Arizona territory. 1876 Arizona territory, let's go, baby! Arizona! I'm actually surprised that Georgia doesn't have more games taking place there. I feel like Atlanta would make a great open world location, but sadly the best we have is the Walking Dead video game. Which, don't get me wrong, some of them are fantastic, but they really are hit or miss. The Walking Dead Telltale series will make you cry, Saints and Sinners is a fantastic VR zombie game, but I want to shine a light on a game that people might have forgotten about. In 2023, we got what some people called the worst Walking Dead video game ever, and it was pretty bad. Overall, it was a bad game that everyone made fun of, but 10 years before that, we also had The Walking Dead Survival Instincts, and this game was hilariously bad. So bad, in fact, that you can't even buy the game on Steam anymore. It was completely delisted. You can buy a key on Amazon from some third-party sellers for $50, which is $49 too many for this game. So I had to acquire it by other methods. It's not stealing, all right? If I can't legally pay money for the game, and the only way I can do is by giving $50 to some random person holding onto a key for a game, then it's not stealing. The person selling the game on Amazon is stealing. That's theft. Anyways, in this game, you play as Daryl Dixon and you drive around Georgia looking for your brother Merle and you try to get to Atlanta. And this game proves that even if you get the original voice actors, it's still not enough to make it a good game.
Oh, Dad, no!
First, a few nitpicky things just to get it out of the way. The graphics are horrible. For this being in 2013, this does not look great. Like, look at the zombies. How am I supposed to be afraid of them? Wow. Okay, I think... Oh my god, Jesus Christ! It's even worse because the AI is so dumb that I can literally sprint up to a zombie and execute them without them doing anything at all. Dude, I shoved him and then executed him. Zombies in Minecraft are literally more threatening than this. There are some weird things with the controls, like when I'm crouching down, there is a crouch animation, but sometimes you'll just teleport into the crouch position. And sometimes when you execute a zombie, you do this weird little spinny thing. What the... What happened there? But I'll brush it off and say maybe that's because of the way I downloaded the game and there's no updates for it or something, I don't know. But the story for the game makes absolutely no sense to me. In the beginning, you play as Daryl's dad, who suddenly gets attacked by zombies, so this guy tells Daryl that it's too late for me, and he needs to shoot his dad in the head.
Well, we could... He's too busted up. Nothing can be done now except ease his suffering.
And he almost does it. Like, with no hesitation, he almost does it, right?
Sorry, brother.
But then the same guy that was telling Daryl to shoot his dad gets bit in literally the same scene.
Aw, Dix, no, man.
And like an hour later, you have to kill him when he turns into a zombie. The idea of the game is to use your map to plan your route, and you stop in different areas to gather supplies, pick up survivors, and complete missions. But there's also a compass with a red arrow telling you exactly where you need to go every time, which to me doesn't really encourage any kind of exploration. And you know what else doesn't encourage exploration? Putting a truck here that I can very easily climb over or under, yet somehow Daryl is incapable of walking past it. Are you kidding me? I can't climb over this. I can't just crawl. This is how they stop me. The design just shows pure laziness, but something else I started to notice is that the zombies started to look kind of the same. So do these guys, actually. So do the NPCs. Look, he's white with a blue hat and a white shirt. White with a blue hat and a white shirt. White with a blue hat and a white shirt. Wait, hold on. Oh my god, they're quadruplets. Anyways, the entire game does take place in Georgia, and there is a map with different cities you stop at, which is kind of weird because they're all fake cities. Like, the whole point of the game is you're getting to Atlanta, a real city in Georgia, but then everywhere else on the map is all entirely fictional. It's not a bad thing, I guess, it's just kind of strange. But there is one thing that happens in the game that lets me know that I'm definitely in Georgia.
Looked like he had plenty of room. Here, take this. Wish I could do more for you.
The cop just gave me a shotgun? Is that normal in Georgia? Does that just happen? Indiana actually has a lot of video games there, and all of them are racing games. Thanks to the Indy 500 and the Motor Speedway, it's all just racing games specifically for the Indy 500 or taking place at the Speedway. And to me, that doesn't seem very fair for Indiana to only get video games where you're driving 200 miles per hour on a racetrack. You can't even see Indiana. We need a game going to the city, the Indiana streets, maybe even Indiana backyards. And thanks to the over-the-hedge video games, we can do just that.
Maybe going inside a human's house wasn't such a good idea.
I want to eat! I want food!
Food is what you'll get, hamster. Enough food to fill a bear cave, hopefully.
The movie takes place in Indiana about a group of animals trying to steal food and stuff from the suburbs, and there's a raccoon who wants to betray them because he has to repay a bear that he stole fruit from, and I don't know, it's been a while since I've seen the movie. It was actually my favorite movie growing up. I saw it 3 times in theater for some reason. I have no idea why I loved it so much. But despite that, I never actually played the game, which is probably why I thought that the game was pretty bad. First of all, the voice acting was terrible.
Hamilton?
Where'd it go, huh?
You and Stella meet us at the hole in the fence in the 3rd yard, right?
Right, 3rd yard, yep. 3 comes after 6, right?
Obviously, I know they're not gonna get Steve Carell to reprise his role as the squirrel, but I mean, they could have done a better job than this. Also, everything seems randomly jumbled together. See, that doesn't make any sense. They got trapped and he just it doesn't really explain anything. Like, I can't imagine someone playing this and not watching the movie, but it still feels really weird, like the movie's required viewing to have any idea what's going on in the game. The plot makes no sense at all without it. It's just a bunch of levels and cutscenes jumbled together, and it's really hard to follow. And the level designs themselves are not interesting at all, like, not fun. There's so many chips and so many things to heal, like, it would be hard to, it'd be really hard to even fail this mission.
How can I hit you when you keep moving?
Like, I got hit so many times right now, and I'm, like, completely fine. And look, I can just switch to Vern and keep going. Now I'm not even close to death. It's so funny to me, to change characters, you have to go through an entire loading screen. Seems very archaic. That's so funny to me. Oh, I have a plunger. But yeah, I mean, you know, this is a game for kids, all right? I'm not gonna sit here and bash this game that's made for kids. I loved the Madagascar video games as a kid, and I'm sure that if I went back and played those in 2024 and had zero nostalgia attached to it, I'd probably think that that was a bad game too. But I love them. They're dear to my heart. But my biggest gripe with the game, and something I couldn't stop thinking about once I noticed it— hold on, where did they get tiny golf clubs? Because there is no way that they make a golf club big enough for a fucking— small enough for a fucking raccoon to hold. And he's holding a hockey stick? Anyways, this really is the best I could find for Indiana, besides racing games. And according to Reddit, this is in fact what Indiana houses look like. So, congrats, Indiana, or I'm sorry, depending on how you feel about the game. Wisconsin is home to craft beer, cheese curds, and not a lot of video games taking place there. Wisconsin is so serious about their dairy products, they actually banned margarine up until the 1960s, and even now it's illegal to serve it in a restaurant unless the customer specifically asks for it. So you would think that there would at least be like a good dairy farming game or a game about cheese or something. But there is a 2014 horror game called The Vanishing of Ethan Carter. It's a walking simulator set in the 1970s where you play as a paranormal investigator investigating the disappearance of a 12-year-old boy. The game is set in the fictional Red Creek Valley, Wisconsin, and the setting is a perfect place for some spooky and eerie vibe. Well, I assume the rock would be bloody because it hit him in the head, right? You hit him in the head with it? The game is around 5 hours long, but it can take longer depending on how dumb you are because there's basically no clues or hints. The game even tells you in the beginning that it's not going to hold your hand, which most of you are probably already used to hearing. I didn't finish the game because, to be honest, I wasn't too invested into it, and also I am a scared little baby that didn't want it to get scarier. Also, at one point, you go into space for some reason. That part was really weird. No, take me with you. Oh my god, what the hell is going on? I'm very confused about what is going on right now. Why am I in space? Why am I in a rocket ship? Unfortunately though, it doesn't seem like the locations are based off of any real places in Wisconsin. The real life locations and inspiration are actually in Poland, which makes sense because the devs are Polish. The game was highly praised and I'm sure it's a great game, but if there was any other option for Wisconsin, I probably would have picked it. I feel like this doesn't really showcase Wisconsin best. You guys definitely deserve better. Louisiana actually has a ton of video games taking place there with a lot of very good ones to choose from. However, without even looking at the list, there was only one game I had in mind. Holy shit, it's 119 gigabytes! After deleting old family memories and waiting 3 hours, I booted up Red Dead Redemption 2 for the first time in 6 years. Now, if you're unfamiliar with Red Dead Redemption or you just need a refresher, the map is actually an amalgamation, you like that word? I can't believe I got to use it in a sentence, of a bunch of different states and areas, and Lemoyne is actually a fictional version of Louisiana, with Saint Denis being New Orleans. Yeah, there were a bunch of other options to choose from with games primarily taking place there, but I couldn't resist throwing Red Dead Redemption 2 in here, and Saint Denis is my favorite city/area from the game. I loaded into an online game because I wanted to make it to Saint Denis as soon as possible. The intro for single player is already 2 hours long and I'm on a time crunch here. But I wanted to challenge myself to a challenge and play the game in a way I've never played it before. I turned off all my HUD except my compass and I tried to make it there purely by road signs or asking for directions, just like a real cowboy. Howdy, partner. I've always read people saying Red Dead Redemption 2 is the most immersive game, and I didn't really understand that until I did this. There were so many little details that got me sucked into this world, and this challenge was not an easy one for me. Wait, doesn't my horse have like a stamina bar? I forget. Is he gonna die? Am I overloading him right now? Aside from not even touching the game other than when it first released, I also couldn't get my controller to work, so playing on mouse and keyboard came with its own struggles. All right, how do we, do I have a horse, or do I need to find a horse? I'm just spamming every... Am I playing rock, paper, scissors? His name is Scrawny Nag, and he is my favorite. You're gonna get me all the way to Lemoyne, also known as New Orleans. Oh my god, no, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. Okay, it's not that button to get on, so hopefully it's this button. All right, yep. Strawberry and Manzanilla Post. Yeah, okay, I think we can go to Strawberry. Fuck! I also had zero clue where anything was geographically. All I knew is that I had to head east, hence the reason for the compass. Another aspect that made this so immersive is that I even turned off the player name, so I had no idea if someone I ran into was an NPC or a real person. Howdy, partner. Wait. Howdy, partner. Hey, I got a question for you. Excuse me, mister. This dude is still peeing? That is quite possibly the world record for the longest pee I've seen in my life. Oh, well, don't get embarrassed. Don't stop. Things weren't looking so good in the beginning because I somehow ended up at Strawberry twice, but I got my bearings and I finally felt like I was on the right track. But once it turned to nightfall, this game straight up turned into a horror game. Oh god, what is going on? I do not like these noises. Oh my god, there's a shit ton of them following me. Horse, come on. No, they're gonna eat my horse. They're eating my horse. Why is nobody helping me? Oh my god, I'm gonna die. I couldn't find a single person to ask for directions, and every time I made it to a new city, I got excited thinking I was getting closer until I realized I had no freaking clue where I was going. I was about to give up and just look at my map until I got to this high mountain and I realized something. That looks like a big ass city over there. That looks like a big ass city with a lot of lights. And riding in the dead of night, heading to the lights in the distance, right as a thunderstorm kicked in. That was so close. Oh my god. I've never felt more like a true cowboy in my life. Let's go! Finally! But it wouldn't be Louisiana if I didn't at least see an alligator. Oh god. I'm dead. With Pennsylvania having Pittsburgh and Philadelphia, you think that there would be more video games taking place there. Now, originally I was gonna play Homefront: The Revolution, a sequel to the game Homefront, but it's more of a relaunch for the series. The game takes place in an alternate timeline where North Korea wins the technology race, and instead of there being an annoying Silicon Valley tech bro, there's annoying Pyongyang tech bros. I've never said that city out loud, actually. Is that even how you say it? Hold on. Pyongyang. I was close. Anyways, the US gets taken over by North Korea and the game takes place in Philadelphia. But after playing the game, I felt like I really didn't have anything interesting to say about it at all. It was just okay, which makes sense because the game did get mixed reviews, and I came across this Reddit thread which summarize this perfectly. But then I came across a game that sounded way more interesting, and it's called Stubbs the Zombie in Rebel Without a Pulse. And now this was a game worthy of being in Pennsylvania. You play as a zombie named Stubbs, and it feels like an early GTA game, but if you were a zombie, E to eat Ted's brains. Don't mind if I do.
Oh, my... Wow, you sure calmed him down. He's not even twitching anymore.
I don't mean that the gameplay is the same. This isn't like an open world game, but just from the vibes alone and the humor, this feels like a Grand Theft Auto game because of the vibes. The humor is very early 2000s humor that can be a bit dated. They of course have to have fart humor.
All right, buddy, you're going downtown.
Hey, hands where I can see them.
Oh my god, what is with older games and its obsession with farts?
Not in the face!
And an a cappella song about a woman's breasts.
You can only find these melons. So step right up and place your order for a taste of Maggie's melons. They're only here, much more pencil.
Better come with me, Miss Monday.
Do you guys hear the song? They're singing about Maggie's melons. The entire game takes place in the fictional town of Punchbowl, and you only have to play the game for 3 seconds before Pennsylvania gets a mention.
Dateline, Pennsylvania, where one city has entered the 21st century, 50 years.
It's been 2 seconds and they already said Pennsylvania. This game was pretty enjoyable. I liked it. I liked playing as a zombie. I think it was a really good switch up, and I think that this is a way better game for Pennsylvania than Homefront. I really thought I was going to be able to find some kind of country video game or even a video game about Dolly Parton that takes place in Tennessee, but this was actually pretty difficult because there was less than 10 I see. Actually, there was way less than 10 games, so I'm really scraping the bottom of the barrel here. Shiloh, Grant's Trial in the West is an ancient video game which depicts the historic Battle of Shiloh in Tennessee. Yes, a strategy game from 1987 is the best I could find for Tennessee, and installing and playing it was just as difficult as finding it. Enter? Okay, select palette. 0 through 1. 1, I guess? Whoa, now it got darker. Select palette. 0. Oh, God, what did I do? I originally tried archive.org, but after you get past the setup, the game asks you to press the escape button to continue, and all that does is just exit the full screen. Thankfully, I found this website, oldgames.com, that does have it, and you get 2 free downloads, albeit with lower download speeds. But the game is only 1.42 megabytes, so it can't be that bad, right? But it was bad, because they capped it at 5 kilobytes per second. Oh, this is gonna take forever. Wow, this is really emulating 1987, isn't it? It literally took me 20 minutes to download a 1.5 megabyte game. Anyways, I finally got the game downloaded, and listen, I'm already not the best at strategy games. I prefer the more mindless shooty McShooty games that don't require much brain power, but trying to play a strategy game from the 80s was a really humbling experience. 1-8, move, view, combat. Do you wish to have combat? Yes. Plotting, opportunity, fire. Press any key to commence combat. Is this what war is like now? In the current age? Like people just sitting behind computer screens? Insert formatted save game diskette. Is that like a female disc? Advanced. N. Melee N. Yes, fight. Fight. I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm sorry, Tennessee. This really was the best I could find. Kentucky seems like a state that would be left out from having any video games there, but they actually have one of the most in-depth zombie games ever made. Project Zomboid came out in 2013 and wins the record for the longest early access game ever, but there's no denying it's one of the best zombie games out there. I actually tried playing this game in the past, and as much as I wanted to get into it, it's just not my kind of game. The systems are really in-depth, which give it a pretty steep learning curve that stopped me from getting really invested in the game. But I remembered the basics of the game, so I was feeling pretty confident that I can at least make some progress. The game has 5 areas you can start in that all take place in Knox Country, Kentucky, with the major city being Louisville. I picked the spawn point closest to Louisville, and my plan was to get a car as soon as possible and make it to the city. Luckily, I spawned right next to a car that even had its keys in the visor, but unfortunately it had no gas. Since I picked a spawn point closest to the city, that also meant that there were a lot more zombies there. Oh god. Okay. I'm running. I ran around checking more cars, but every single one had no gas in it. It also didn't help that when I checked a car for gas, it immediately became swarmed with zombies and it made it extremely difficult to get out. I eventually found a parking lot with a bunch of cars, and my best bet was to just check every car and hope that one of them had gas. My last hope was an ambulance, but since it was locked, I was really hoping it had some gas in it. No, smash the window faster! No! Oh my god, my left hand is bitten, bleeding, infected. My left forearm's bitten, bleeding, infected. My left upper arm has a laceration and I'm bleeding. Okay, I gotta do this faster. If it's locked, I feel like it's bound to have gas, right? No! I can't deny that Project Zomboid is a great game. It's just not the game for me. I really suck at it. I'm so bad at this game, it's not even funny. But it is a great game to represent Kentucky. I always forget that New Mexico is even a state. I mean, seriously, if you don't live in or have family in New Mexico, when was the last time you even thought about New Mexico? Bonus points if you didn't mention Breaking Bad. As for video games, there's of course Half-Life, which people say Black Mesa Laboratory takes place in New Mexico, but I don't think the game ever specifically mentions it. Plus, you can't really track down exactly where it is. There's also a couple Western games, but they kind of fall into the same issue of like not exactly being in New Mexico or only having a small portion of it being there. But I ended up coming across a point-and-click adventure game from 1995 that sounded way more interesting to play. Oh, let's go. The music for this is a banger. Oh, and remember that oldgames.com website for the last game? They also had this game, and it's 463 megabytes. If I kept the download speed of 5 kilobytes, it would have taken 26 hours to download this. So I sucked it up and I made a contribution so I could download the game. Dust, A Tale of the Wired West is a cult classic video game that I never heard of before, and I was a little worried it wasn't gonna mention New Mexico, but it actually didn't take long at all. What town is this? Ooh! Yes, tell me where
it
I am.
ain't exactly Paris, France, now is it? Lord almighty, man. This is Diamondback, New Mexico territory.
Let's go! Diamondback, New Mexico! And for this being a game from 1995, the graphics on this game are pretty darn good. Look how realistic they look. So you meet this guy who basically acts as your guide for the game. He tells you how to play the game and what to watch out for.
Remember to listen. People in this town talk a lot. They tell secrets. They tell advice. Sometimes they tell lies.
He also gives you this ring and says that you can give it to other characters, so that might be important later. He tells me my goal is to find a place to sleep for the night. So the plan, get a room at the hotel. I talked to this knockoff Austin Butler dude who tells me that there's a hotel down the road, but when I get there, the owner, who looks like a tech bro from the 2000s and definitely doesn't look like he belongs in the 1800s, tells me that all the rooms are full. I offer him the ring, but he doesn't want it.
A very pretty ring. Authentic, too. But I could never accept this from you.
What if you're lying to me? How about
Stranger,
a third time?
We're full up.
I'm gonna keep asking you until you say something different.
Bob. We're booked up.
I go upstairs knocking on everyone's room because that's a totally normal thing to do, and this French guy answers, who was surprisingly nice to a random dude knocking on his hotel room in the middle of the night. He gives me an idea that might help me find a place to sleep for the night. Any comely maidens in the hotel? Now we're talking. Now I'm interested.
Monsieur, les jeunes filles.
The new plan? Find a maiden that will let me stay the night with her. I head to the saloon and this lady tells me that all the maidens are upstairs, but it costs $10 to go up. I start with $5 to my name, and I don't know how to play poker, and slots is pure luck, so I figure my best shot is blackjack.
Say, hey, sugar.
Whoa.
How about a fast hand of blackjack?
Actually, can I give you the ring? Yeah, I was feeling pretty lucky, and I couldn't resist giving her all my money, so I bet all $5 and hope for one good hand. Okay, should we just go all in on blackjack? She just winked at me. Okay. Yep, you're taking all my money. A 10? Let's go. Okay, come on, baby. Something good. 13. Okay, I have to hit. Oh man, my heart's pumping. This is all my money. No! I talked to this lady again, and she actually wants the ring in exchange for going up, so I part ways with it, and I hope I can use my skills with the ladies to convince one of them to let me stay the night with her. She tells me room 4 is my best bet.
Jesus Christ and General Jackson, don't you know better than to come barging into a room, even here?
Hello?
Go away.
What? I've been scammed! She told me to go to 4! Room 1 doesn't answer, and room 3 sounds like they're having a great time without me, so time to try room 2. Number 2!
She was only a boy in a gilded cage.
I gotta play my cards right here. Let's go with who are you?
Sophie Della Casino, toast of 7 states.
Your voice is unlike anything I've ever heard.
Yeah? A lot of guys say that about me. Funny, ain't it? But you're kinda sweet. Come back tomorrow morning and Sophie will give you a big surprise.
She tells me to come back in the morning, so I try my one last shot at room 4.
Oh, what the hell. You're persistent, I'll grant you that. The name's Ruby O'Dowd.
4th time's the charm, it's working.
Let's take a look at you. You don't smell too bad.
Oh man, okay, I cannot fuck this up. This is my only chance. Let's go with you play hard. We'll make it about her.
Yeah, right. Look, you're beginning to bore me.
No!
Why don't you come back when you dry out a little behind the ears? We'll have tea.
With my pockets empty and my feelings hurt, I go back to my friend and he actually gives me a loan for another $5.
You have no money. Here, $5 alone.
Let's go!
You must leave the saloon with more than $5. Now go!
So I head back to the saloon and I take things a bit more seriously this time. I win a couple times at slots so I can have some cash in my pocket and I try to head back up, except now this lady is trying to charge me again even though I gave her the ring already. No, I've already been there! I've already paid! I give up. I can't go on anymore. I'm maidenless, but at least I got $11. So I went back to blackjack to try and redeem myself. I want to at least end rich and maidenless rather than poor and maidenless. We're going all in. I'm gonna end up a rich man, or I'm gonna end up a sad, poor boy. 12. Okay, that's not bad. 17. Oh my god, I don't think I should hit. Okay, I'm gonna stay. And I just have to hope to God that she busts. No!
No money? Then you can't play with Janine. Bye-bye, Wrangler.
Janine, please! Oregon actually has some of the most beautiful locations in the United States, so it's surprising that more games don't take place there. But thanks to a little video game studio based in Bend, Oregon, we actually have Days Gone. And Days Gone might not be the best zombie game ever made, but it's a damn good open world zombie game and the most detailed game ever taking place in Oregon. Pretty much all of the road signs, locations, and landmarks are based on real life Oregon locations. Hey, I know that mountain. Mount, Vernon, I think it's called. Mount Everett, maybe, actually? And I ended up getting completely sucked into this game. I typically play each game for a couple hours, but I've already clocked in 10 hours for this game and I could not put it down. I've actually tried playing this in the past, but this is one of those games that takes a few tries before it really clicks. And I'm actually really happy that I went back and gave this game another shot. They did a really great job of putting Oregon in a video game, and my favorite thing about the game is the motorcycle. In most games, you have a horse or a car or something that you can just call to you instantly and ride off to safety. But in this game, your motorcycle kind of feels like your support system. It can actually run out of gas and leave you stranded in the middle of the night, turning this into a true horror game as zombies swarm you with no way out. The game got mixed reviews, but it's been praised as a sleeper hit, so I'm pretty sure you don't need me to tell you to try this game. One thing that's really distracting though is the main character sounds just like Tim the Tatman. Like, come on, you cannot convince me that this is not Tim.
Wait, here. Down this way. Tracks are fresh.
Anyways, overall, great game, Oregon.
The White King Mine.
Nope, I don't like that. I am not going in there. Utah is yet another game that I just got completely sucked into and ended up playing way more than I wanted to. Between Oregon with Days Gone and Utah, I clocked in 30 hours and it's really distracting me from finishing this video. Horizon Forbidden West is a game most people might not associate with Utah, but the entire map is actually based off of a lot of real life locations. And this is one of the most beautiful games that I've ever played. If you're wondering why this part might look weird or there's no face cam or anything, it's actually because I have an ultra wide monitor with HDR and I wanted to experience the game in all its glory. It also helps that the combat and world building are some of the best I've ever seen in a video game. It's hard to believe that the entire story and all the lore behind it isn't even based on any other form of media. It all exists just from a video game. This game takes place in the far, far future, so any real life locations are called relics, and it's a scaled down version of the entire West Coast. You go around Nevada, California, Arizona, Colorado, but the very beginning of the game takes place in Zion Canyon, Utah. One of the very first relics you come across is the Zion Canyon Lodge, and it's really awesome to see these real-life locations in different light. Aside from Zion, though, there's a lot of other real-life Utah locations too. Someone on Reddit actually made a handy little map showing Horizons maps in comparison to the real-life locations, and it was actually really cool seeing this perspective and just how much of the western United States they were able to cover in these games. And also, this made me realize I didn't even know that Las Vegas was included in this game. I'm from Vegas, so excuse me while I play another 50 hours in this game because I'm determined to make it to Las Vegas. Most video games in Alaska are, of course, hunting games. Also, according to Wikipedia, the Incredible Hulk DS game is in Alaska for some reason, which I think the beginning of the game is because of the movie, but I mean, come on, this is why we can't trust these lists. Are we really gonna play the Hulk DS game and say that's part of Alaska? Not unless I was desperate. There's also Fallout Operation Anchorage, but that is technically a virtual reality simulation, so your character never actually goes to Alaska. And I really thought I was gonna have to resort to a hunting game until I found this indie game called Never Alone. You play as this little girl accompanied by an Arctic fox as you travel across the Alaskan wilderness. And it was actually made in collaboration with the indigenous people of Alaska. They even include these videos in the game teaching you about the game and the people that live there. Ooh, a video about an Arctic fox? Oh, they're so cute. I want an Arctic fox.
When I was growing up, my grandpa had a pet white fox.
What? That's my dream! I just said that! The game is a side-scrolling platformer, kinda like Limbo, and you can play as both the girl and the fox, but playing as the fox can be pretty distracting. Oh, look at him. Look at him. You're cute. Look at him bracing. Laying down with his little tail wagging. Why so cute? Oh! He got messed up. It's also not scary or creepy like Limbo is. The game is actually pretty happy, except for when the fox drowns. Shit. God, dude, when the fox drowns, that's heartbreaking. Overall, it's a very cute and cozy game that will teach you a lot about Alaska along the way, and I think it's really cool that they worked with the indigenous people that live there. I think that's super cool. Considering Wyoming is the least populated state, you would think that there would be 0 video games taking place there. But thanks to a little game called Firewatch, we can easily go to Wyoming in a video game. I actually beat Firewatch a few years ago before doing this video, and it is a game that definitely sticks with you. It's a game that's gonna make you feel feelings that you might not be prepared to feel. It's a really short game, and it's one I recommend actually playing for yourself rather than just watching a video on it. It is a story-based walking type simulator game, but you don't get the full effect of the game if you're just watching a video on it. The reason being is the game does a great job of putting you in the mindset that you're completely alone and your only friend is a radio.
Hello? Whoever this is?
It's Henry, right?
Yeah.
I'm Delilah.
You're stuck out in the Wyoming forest talking to a girl named Delilah on your radio, and there's so many little things that you can interact with and relay that information to her.
I found a bra.
A nudie pyromaniac. Remain professional.
There are, panties?
There are what?
I don't want to say that word again.
Why, 'cause you're 12?
Oh yes, really gotta take a good hard look at that. This game is not a horror game, but it sure can feel like it at times, especially when you piss off Delilah and she doesn't respond to you on the radio, leaving you completely alone in the forest. The voice acting is fantastic, and it's mostly a mini movie with an emotional story behind it, but it just so happens that all of it takes place in a real-life hiking area in Wyoming. Thoroughfare Trailhead, is that a real place? Oh yeah, it is in Wyoming. Thoroughfare Trailhead. Colorado has a decent amount of video games taking place there. There's of course every South Park video game. Wasteland 3 is a great RPG in a post-apocalyptic Colorado, but I think it's worth talking about one of the greatest zombie games of all time. Dead Rising takes place at a mall in the fictional town of Willamette, Colorado. And sure, it's not based on a real place or even a real mall, but it is definitely the coolest location for a video game, let alone a zombie game. Running around the mall, picking up any item you can find and using it against the zombies is some of the best fun I had as a kid. And the added bonus that there's a bunch of other survivors that you can interact with at the mall, recruit them, or even try and save their lives. Don't worry, nerds, I will protect you. Wait, can I hurt them? Don't worry, Alan, I will protect you. Video games need to focus on smaller locations and making it extremely detailed and interactable instead of making giant maps that feel empty with nothing to do. And if you're wondering why Frank looks weird, it's because I wanted to spice things up and I used a mod to change him to Isabella. but something obviously didn't go right. Oh my god. Somehow this feels wrong. Dude, look at the body on her.
Sticking out your yacht for the Rizzler. Freaking come here. Give me your Ohio.
You know, everyone makes fun of Ohio, but I for one think that they don't get enough hate. I mean, Jake Paul is from there, so that should be reason enough. And as far as video games go, Ohio really doesn't have much. I believe The Walking Dead passes through Ohio, Need for Speed the Run has a level there, and I think Nightmare on Elm Street is in Ohio, which would make the video game technically be there as well. But as I was Googling video games in Ohio, I came across this Reddit thread of a guy who made his own video game in Ohio called Elijah and the Out of the World Adventure. Came out in 2021, has 8 reviews, and there was even a recent update last month. And it's the weirdest game I've ever played. Earth. Parma, Ohio, a city just outside of Cleveland. 80,000 people going about their day, not knowing what's about to be at their front door. Look, there's obviously been a lot of love put into this game, and for 99 cents, you can't expect much. I'm not just gonna go and shit all over this dude's hard work, but it kind of feels like a morph of a lot of different games, and there is a ton of dialogue in here, and the writing for the game is truly impeccable. My initials are HS. Know what that stands for? I don't think I want to know. Ah, he's reading my mind. He's saying what I'm saying. Am I an NPC? Want to know why they call me the human silo? Okay, everyone who doesn't want to engage in prison, raise your hand. What is the turn that this game is taking, bro? You play as Elijah, who lives in Ohio, and the town is being overrun by aliens or something, and there's parasites, and one of the parasites actually goes into Elijah's head. Oh man, my last search was for naked ladies. I'm so ashamed. This dude is 28 and he's Googling naked ladies? I think this guy's got a lot more problems than the parasite in his body. And you can definitely tell that you're in Ohio because at one point you accidentally walk in on just your average Ohio party. What the hell is going on in here? Is it a man dressed as a baby? Hello. I seem to be in the wrong area. Oh yes, everyone's name is man. They even got a leather daddy at the party. Overall, I expected nothing less and nothing more from Ohio. Montana seems like another place where there wouldn't be any video games taking place there. Maybe some hunting games or fishing. But of course, we can thank Far Cry 5, where literally the first word in the game is Montana.
Montana. Big sky country.
The first word in the game is Montana. Dude, I forgot how insane the cutscenes for these games are. There's no denying that Far Cry games are great, but unfortunately over the years, they suffered from the gameplay all just feeling the same, but a little bit different, and Far Cry 5 is no exception. You liberate an outpost, save these people, climb this tower. They even became self-aware and made a joke about it this time and took towers out of the game.
I know what you're thinking, and no. I ain't gonna have you climbing towers all over the county for me, so don't worry.
But let's be honest, you don't play the Far Cry games for its riveting, innovative gameplay. You play it for the villain, and this time it's a religious cult leader named Joseph Seed, and this guy is scary.
I told you that God wouldn't let you take me.
Dispatch? Everything is just fine here. Need to call anyone.
Yes, Father. Praise be to you.
She's in on it? He's so scary, in fact, that he even turned the colors on my computer into the American flag. Spooky. My plan was to get a helicopter as soon as possible and head to the highest point in the game so I can see all of Montana. But first I needed to make my character, and I made sure that she would fit in with the rest of Montanians. Or Montanans? Montanians? What do they call themselves? The map actually fully opens up after liberating the first island, which acts as a tutorial, and it only takes around 30 minutes or so, which I think is pretty cool. I love when games open up the entire map for you, like right off the rip. I really wanted to make a stop and say hi to Faith, the cult leader's daughter, but I don't have time for that, and also she kind of scares me a little bit. Sorry, Faith. I headed straight to the helicopter, and I thought that this statue of Joseph would be the highest point, because why wouldn't a narcissistic religious cult leader make a statue of himself on the highest point? But it's actually called Raptor's Peak. Fun fact, that statue is actually based off of a real statue of the Virgin Mary in Montana. I landed on the peak, and I was ready to take in my breathtaking, beautiful view of Montana, but not before getting a little bit spooked on the way up. What the? Did you hear that? What the hell was that? There's fucking ghosts in this game, dude? Oh, I got a perk. Unlocks a parachute. Oh, that's perfect. Perfect timing. Woo! We did it. I can see all of Montana from up here. It's so beautiful. All right, well, I hope my parachute works. I spammed jump. I don't know why it didn't work.
Wish I was back in Texas.
With Texas being the biggest state, it's surprising that there isn't a vast open world video game taking place across the entire state. Instead, we get a lot of video games that are just vaguely somewhere in Texas or just have a small section featuring Texas. However, there is a 2004 video game that takes place entirely in Dallas, Texas. JFK Reloaded is a sandbox shooter game where you recreate the actual events of JFK. The game rates you on your ability to accurately recreate the exact events as they happened in real life based off the Warren Commission. Wait, I don't know what time. Is there a clock? How do I know what time to do it at? On the surface, you would think that this is just some random offensive game made to stir up controversy, which it did, but on a deeper level, it actually acts as a learning tool basing itself on historical accuracy and dispelling conspiracy theories about what happened. And for this being in 2004, it was actually praised for how accurate the game was between real-life events, the realistic bullet physics, and it was regarded as a great physics simulation. They even had a theater mode, something that modern Call of Duty games don't even have today. But it was all hidden behind a controversial coat of paint that made you feel a little bit bad while playing it. I did it! I did it first try? And then there's the people that uploaded trickshot videos to YouTube. It also showcases how incredibly unlikely it is to recreate the exact events that happened, since no one was ever able to achieve a perfect score, matching the exact angle, number of shots, everything down to the exact second. I was, however, able to complete the mission on the first try with a score of 300, and I don't know how to feel about that. So I went back and I missed a bunch of times and I saved the president because I felt bad. Aw, what a cute, silly little guy. Look at him, still smiling. Hawaii has 3 categories of video games taking place there. There's sports games like surfing or golfing, racing games, which I guess is also just a sport, and Pearl Harbor video games. I counted them up and there are 16 war-themed video games about Pearl Harbor, and one of them is literally just called Attack on Pearl Harbor. Why is there so many of these? Other than that though, there aren't many open world games taking place in Hawaii, but thankfully there is a game that just released this year. Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth is from the Yakuza series of games and is the first one taking place in the United States. Now here's the thing, I've never played a Yakuza game nor any similar JRPG, so take this opinion with a grain of salt. This game was boring. I know people really love this game, and I'm not just saying that to offend people so they'll boost engagements in the comments. I mean it, I was really bored for pretty much most of the game. The game is a sequel in a long line of video games, so obviously I'm gonna have no idea what's going on story-wise, but this game is like 80% cutscenes. By 40 minutes in, I barely even had any gameplay, and I learned that you don't even get to Hawaii till chapter 2, and God knows how many cutscenes that would take to get there. So I just started skipping them all, and this is basically how the game went. Watch this cutscene. Oh, here's another cutscene. Oh, skip this one too. Now pick some options from a dialogue box. Walk to this place. Go to this place. Wait, no, you went too far. You can't go over there. You have to go over here. Cool, now there's a cutscene. Play a Pokemon battle. Cutscene. More walking. Cutscene. 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 Now obviously I know that a lot of this is my fault, okay? I'm not ragging on the game, okay? Like, I'm jumping into a game at a weird point in the series, and obviously I'm not gonna have any idea what's going on. It's just I didn't know that this game was mostly cutscenes. I think it's just difficult as a person that's new to this type of game in this series to be able to get into it when it requires 2 hours of cutscenes to be able to get to any real gameplay. Now I will admit, the game does have its charm though. There are some moments that made me laugh and could make me see why people love this game. Massive massage machine. And I can afford it. I need to go pick a fight with someone. Hey guys. Oh, let's go. Okay. I'm holding it. Let's go. I'm beating him with the massager. Come on, just leave me alone. I just want to get to Hawaii, dude. What the fuck? There's a flasher? Anyways, after skipping cutscenes and playing Pokemon battles for 2 hours, I finally made it to Hawaii. Aloha? That means Hawaii in Hawaiian. I can't even move. We're finally in Hawaii and I'm stuck pushing somebody around in a wheelchair. Now, as you can expect, there isn't very many options taking place in Missouri. Some people wondered why I didn't play the Oregon Trail for Oregon, and that's because I was going to play it for this, since the game starts out with you leaving Missouri following along the Mississippi River. However, then I came across a game far more interesting to talk about because it was ranked on a list of most racist video games of all time. The company Square is famous for the Final Fantasy games, but they also made a Tom Sawyer RPG for the NES. It was a strange game that never made it outside of Japan, so all of it's in Japanese, and I had zero idea what was going on, but also because I've never read Tom Sawyer. Now, Japan has a history of characters like Jinx and Mr. Popo resembling blackface. However, some people debate that they were based off of some Japanese mythical creatures. However, just 2 minutes into the game, there's no denying that, yeah, this game is pretty racist. Someone did upload a fan translation in English, and I don't know if it's accurate to the original, but it just made things a lot worse. And with this coming out in 1989 and made by the same people that made Final Fantasy, it's just bizarre that this game even exists in the first place. It just feels like you're playing a Pokemon game or a Final Fantasy game or any other Japanese RPG game, but slapped with Tom Sawyer and a bunch of other racist elements. It's really weird playing it. But at least the fan translation of the game can confirm to me that yes, this game does indeed take place in Missouri. I put off doing Maryland for so long, mainly because there was only one video game I had to choose from, and of course, it was a horror game. I hate horror games. So let's play the Blair Witch video game until it mentions Maryland, or I get too scared to keep playing, whichever comes first. Hey, joke's on you. I'm not scared unless it's nighttime. Blair Witch Project famously takes place in the real city of Burkittsville in the Black Hills Forest, and can we just take a moment to say that I would be pissed if someone picked my city to just randomly base their entire scary movie franchise on, and now my entire town and city is just based off of that scary movie? I am not gonna live in the woods right next to where the Blair Witch lives. No, I'd be forced to move after that. Screw that. Now, to be honest, I wasn't expecting the game to mention Maryland at all, but just 6 minutes into playing, Maryland State Police! Maryland mentioned! Let's go! I don't have to play anymore! The game actually wasn't that bad at first. You basically just play Dog Simulator. He follows you around and you can give him little treats and stuff, and it's just a cute, cozy little game with your little dog and your buddy in the forest. Always laying down. Until it turns nightfall and you lose track of your dog and you start to go insane, and then all of a sudden your dog starts to bark randomly at nothing in the middle of the woods. Okay, come on. What is going on? What are you barking at? Oh, shit!
What the hell?
I'm done. I'm good. Went to Maryland. That's enough. Please, God, let there be no more horror games on this list, please. I really thought that there would be 0 video games taking place in New Hampshire because what even happens there? Was Old Hampshire so boring that they had to make a new one? The biggest city there is just barely over 100,000 people, so I'd be surprised if anyone from New Hampshire even watches this video. But thanks to its rich wilderness and animals, the Hunter Call of the Wild actually made a DLC map for the area. You can hunt all over the White Mountains, and my goal was to 360 no-scope an animal. Now, I've never hunted in real life, and I haven't played hunting games since I was a little kid, but man, these games have gotten really advanced. This might be the best hunting game ever made. Oh, hold on. Oh! I scared a rabbit. Where is he? Something about the forest really creeps me out, though, because even when it's not a horror game, it still finds ways to absolutely terrify me. Where is it? I swear I heard that to my left. Where are you at here, kitty, 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 kitty? This game requires you to be slow and meticulous, so every animal kept running away from me. Dude, I can't find anything. Why? I'm invading their territory. Why won't they just come out and attack me? But somehow I stumbled right onto a moose that must have been deaf because he didn't hear me practicing my 360s right behind him. There it is. A little bit closer. No, dog, back up, get back. Hold on, I gotta practice. Too far. Too short. I got him! It took me 40 minutes to even see an animal, and it ran away after being shot. I do not have the patience for this game. You do get a cute little doggy to help you hunt, though, and if you're wondering if you can pet it, yes, you can. And if you're wondering if you can shoot it, I can't look. How dare you even think that? Shame on you. You can't do it. It doesn't work. I put off playing a video game for Washington for so long, not because I didn't like the game I had to play, but it's because I had to bust out the old PS5 in order to play it. Infamous Second Son might not have lived up to the hype as the original two games, but it was still a great addition to the series. It's a crime that it's 2024 and we still can't play any of the Infamous games on PC. And it's a crime that the developers basically forgot about the series. Yeah, Sucker Punch went on to bigger and better things, but we used to be spoiled. In just a 5-year time frame, we got 5 Infamous games. Between the last Infamous game and now, they've given us Ghost of Tsushima twice and a multiplayer game that no one plays. Infamous 1 and 2 were big parts of my childhood, and it also fills the void of superhero games that aren't about comic book characters. I got powers, baby, let's go! And games where you can have cool-ass powers and can just be truly evil as possible in them. No, don't kill him, he just looks scared. Unfortunately, Second Son and First Light didn't live up to the hype for a lot of people, and there's a chance that we'll never get another Infamous game again, but they truly were great games set in the beautiful state of Seattle, Washington. Well, we made it to the Space Needle. Florida is about to get the best video game of all time soon, and even without GTA 6, they still have plenty of good video games taking place there, including one of the best indie games of all time. GTA Vice City is the most obvious choice, but there's so many other games, mostly taking place in Miami. It makes a good setting because it has everything you need to make a great video game location. Beautiful environments, alligators, crackheads. So I had to go with a game that has Miami in the name. CSI Miami, the video game, is based off of CSI the show, based in Miami, Florida. No, just kidding. I feel like Florida would be really mad at me if I actually went with CSI. I went with Hotline Miami. I never had a chance to sit down and actually play this game, but now I can see why people love this game. On the surface, it looks and feels like a top-down shooter game, but really at its core, it's just a puzzle game. I kept dying over and over again and got really obsessed with trying to get through a level as fast as possible. It's a good mindless game to kick back and go through the levels as fast or as slow as you want, and the little details of the game really surprised me along the way. Oh, I just threw that? Oh, I just gave him the gun. Florida has tons of other video games I could have picked for this, but I mean, GTA 6 is literally about to come out soon, so I might as well shine the light on a smaller game that I didn't have a chance to play, and it also literally has Miami in the name, so. Now, technically, we already went to New Jersey when we played the Godfather video game for New York, but every state deserves their own game, and New Jersey actually has quite a few of them. Assassin's Creed 3 goes there, but we already played that game, and I'm surprised that there's not a Jersey Shore video game. But there's actually a game you might not know takes place entirely in New Jersey, and you've definitely heard about the game before. Monopoly was released in 1935 and has been tearing families apart ever since, and then in 1985, along came the computer video game released for the Amiga, Amstrad CPC, BBC Micro, Commodore 64, MS-DOS, MSX Tatung Einstein, Thomson MO, Thomson TO, and the ZX Spectrum. Those were all 100% real platforms. I didn't make any of those up. Well, it's the whole Monopoly board in MS-DOS format. It wasn't until doing this video that I learned every single street in the original Monopoly is actually based off of real-life streets in New Jersey. And whenever there's a fun fact like that, there's a nerd on Reddit who already put a map together showing the real-life locations versus the board game. Playing this game was actually kind of weird though, because the computer speaks to you like it's actually alive. Let us decide who goes first. Here I go. Now you roll. I win. I go first. When did I didn't even get a chance to roll. There's no dice to roll? This is weird. It's like he's talking to me. I also messed up in the beginning because it asked me how much money you can go into debt, and for some reason I thought $10,000 was a good number, but it actually took me a really long time. So eventually I just spammed enter on the keyboard really fast and said yes to everything, and somehow I ended up with Park Place and Boardwalk and over $6,000. My God, I own Boardwalk. I just speed ran getting to Boardwalk. Let's go. I only have $84. I was literally winning the game by just spamming enter. I'm pretty sure I could win a Monopoly speedrunning contest. And that's why nobody wanted to play Monopoly with me as a kid. Connecticut kinda scares me. Like, if I had to pick a state to be left alone in the middle of the night, Connecticut would be last on my list. So it's only fitting the best game I could find taking place there is a horror game. Now, I hate horror games, which is why I put this one off for so long, but I didn't realize that it's just an 8-bit horror game stylized like those old Apple games. How scary could a bunch of pixels be? Turns out it can actually be pretty scary, especially with the very first voice you hear in the beginning. I have to finish what I started. Okay, this is already creepy as hell. This game has 3 episodes, and you play as a Catholic priest performing an exorcism on this chick named Amy. Okay. Yep, she definitely needs an exorcism. Hi, Amy. It's actually pretty eerie playing this because it really does feel like you're playing a cursed video game from the 1980s. These are the video games that gave your parents nightmares. Overall, it's not the scariest game in the world, but all of it takes place in the very real town of Sterling, Connecticut. And yeah, I think that definitely looks like Connecticut, right? Now, I had so many people telling me to just play The Crew 2 and knock out dozens of states at once, but I didn't do that because every state deserves their own game and that wouldn't be very fun. Now that we're down to the last few states, it's making things a little bit difficult and I can no longer avoid this game. So thank God it was on sale for $10 because I spent $200 on this wheel to make it more realistic. Now, my goal was to start in California and drive across the country to the state that I needed to go without using the map, but there were a couple problems with that. First of all, the street signs made no geographical sense at all. Like, they weren't meant to be followed. South and north. Is it telling me which way is it pointing? Is it pointing straight or left? Downtown, Griffith Park, 0 north. It's saying left, but there's no left. Well, there's mountains over there, so I guess one side is water and the other side's mountains, so. I also severely underestimated how massive this map is. Dude, where am I? I feel like I'm in an uncharted territory right now. The river! Is that the Mississippi River? Maybe if I follow that. I know it covers a large part of the United States, but I thought it would maybe take me like an hour max to drive from one side to the other. And after getting stuck in California just going around in circles, I figured I could just head opposite of the water straight to the mountains and make it to another state. And after 20 minutes of that, I thought I was at least in Arizona or Colorado or something. And finally, I just checked the map and I didn't even make it out of California. We weren't even in Colorado yet. Holy shit, this map is huge. I don't think the game was meant to be played without a map, so I just turned on the arrows and I finally made it to probably the most randomest city to have in a game. Nachachichos? That's not where we're going. Right there. Clarksdale. See, why is it saying to go that way? See, the signs make no sense. The Clarksdale sign should be back there. Clarksdale, Mississippi. We made it. We made it to Clarksdale, Mississippi. Let's go! Finding a video game set in Nebraska would have been impossible, but thank God American Truck Simulator made a DLC there. American Truck Simulator has tons of different states and DLCs, but we're getting down to the wire here, and Nebraska didn't have much to pick from, so I had to save it for this. But to spice things up, I'm gonna drive drunk across Nebraska, and if I crash, the video ends. In video games, of course. So after downing 4 shots of an unknown liquid and booting up the game for the very first time, my plan was to make it all the way across Nebraska. Now, I wish I could say that this was extremely difficult and I was swerving, but truthfully, I was a natural at it. I was using my blinker, obeying traffic laws, waiting at red lights. It was super immersive. I actually felt like a truck driver and I was kind of scared of getting a DUI. Holy shit, this is a 35 and I'm going 64? That's fine though. There's no cops. Wait, is that a cop? That is a cop. That's the worst cop ever. I'm literally right behind him speeding, and he was speeding too. I did, however, have some close calls though. I did not know I was going in oncoming. I thought this was a 2-lane highway. Come on, dude, is anyone gonna let me go? Oh God, the train is coming. The train is coming. What the fuck? The train's coming as soon as I... Okay, we gotta go. I mean, he's going kind of slow. I'm going 64. I'm going under the speed limit right now. I feel like I could pass him. I'm gonna pass him. I can't pass him. And since it was Nebraska, 80% of the time I was just going in a straight line and looking like this. And that face might look like a face of pure boredom, but I was having a complete blast playing this game. I was locked in and laser focused. Before playing this game, I always thought it was super silly that people just pretend to be driving a truck and follow traffic laws. Like, nobody does that unless they're completely bored. But after playing it, it's something that you can't explain until you try it yourself. I was also recording this late at night, and I did face a truck driver's worst nightmare: getting sleepy. And after starting in Omaha, Nebraska, I successfully made it to the other side without hitting a single thing. Not gonna lie, I did not look at all to see if anyone was coming. So thank God nobody was coming. For all the people eagerly awaiting for North Carolina, I'm afraid to say that you're gonna be massively disappointed. North Carolina locals seem very proud to live there, so it's surprising that there's no large game developers who have chosen to make a big open world game there. So that left me with this 1995 point-and-click adventure game called Amber Journeys Beyond. When it was first released, people just thought of it as another Myst clone, a game that I've seen the logo for many times, but I've never actually played it before. It was criticized for its short gameplay, but surprisingly praised for its good acting.
This is incredible. I've just detected an astral disturbance in the garage.
I guess the bar was kind of low back then, but wow, look at the really good graphics they had in 1995. She looks almost real. It is a horror game where you're sent to go investigate a haunted house because this chick named Amber went MIA, and then you discover that she was trying to do some white people shit with ghosts, and then you find Amber unconscious in the garage after her journey beyond. Get it? Because that's the name of the game. There's some other ghosts in the house that you can help cross over in the afterlife, and aside from a couple strange noises and uneasy feelings, this game wasn't very scary. Okay, I don't like this. I don't want anything to do with VHS tapes. I was more scared downloading some sketchy files and booting up Windows 95 to even play this game. However, I was scared that the game wasn't going to even mention North Carolina until I committed a federal crime by opening up her mail and discovered this letter. North Carolina! She got a package! Let's go, baby! Now, a lot of people in the comments suggested playing Assassin's Creed Black Flag for South Carolina, but there's a problem. It's not even part of the full map, and it's just a small flashback mission where you go to Charlestown. It's also extremely dark, and most people agree that it's the worst mission in the game. That's really lame. But with no other option, I thought I was gonna be stuck with that, until I realized I had a trick up my sleeve I haven't done for any other state. What if I just go to Steam and search South Carolina? I found this game with 9 reviews described as a roguelike first-person shooter set during the Revolutionary War. You play as Francis Marion being overran by redcoats in a South Carolina swamp, and it's a recreation of the movie scene from The Patriots. This game looks amazing, and it's set in South Carolina, so here's my rapid-fire review in 30 seconds. Soundtrack? Banger. I like the music. Some good music. Level design? Invisible walls, boo! Apparently there's 62 more enemies on this map, but half of the map is an invisible wall that I can't go through, and the other half isn't even rendered. Where the hell are they gonna fit 62 more enemies on here? Gameplay? Really bad. The enemies look funny, there's 0 bullet effects, but they did take the time to add blood, which was kind of weird, but this game's not very fun at all. The price? 99 cents. Finally crossing South Carolina off of my list? Priceless. West Virginia doesn't have very many video games taking place there, so the option is either a hunting game that I have to save for another state, or another Fallout video game. And I really didn't want to play Fallout 76 for this video, not because it was or might still be a bad game, but because it's 100 gigabytes and trying to play any Bethesda game on PC gives me an aneurysm. Dude, every fucking Bethesda game is broken, dude. This always happens. Their games never launch correctly for me, causing the screen to only show up on half the monitor, and then you can't even change it in the game, so you have to go to your documents on the ini file and change that just like every other Bethesda game ever. And then when you finally get it working, you see the game is running in 30 FPS, and there's no FPS option in the settings, so guess what? You have to go back to the ini file to change that too. It literally took me 15 minutes just to get the game running properly and load into my previous character that I started up because of the Fallout TV show, and I played for an hour before I uninstalled the game and never touched it again. Billy B. Baxter was pretty beautiful though. And West Virginia is pretty beautiful too, with some nice representation and real life locations in the game. That is the West Virginia State Capitol building. It is a shame though that it was wasted on an online game. Some people like this game, which is great for them, but unfortunately it just didn't click for me. It is, however, the best video game ever made in West Virginia. And of course, I had to go get myself killed by a Deathclaw before I could stop playing. Dumbass can't even hit me! Aww. The most obvious choice for Maine is the Fallout 4 DLC Far Harbor, but I am not playing another Fallout game. Thankfully, I discovered that one of the most popular and influential horror games of all time is actually set in Maine. I never had a chance to play Silent Hill growing up because I was still in diapers when the first game came out, and it probably would have caused me some long-lasting psychological damage. I had a tough time choosing between one or two because they're completely separate stories, and there's a lot of debate online which is better, so I figured I should just go with the OG Silent Hill one. Look at that. 2 seconds in, I'm already playing the game. No long, convoluted cutscene. Playing this game for the first time with zero nostalgia attached to it, there are some things that just didn't age very well, mostly the controls, because I spent way too long walking straight into walls. How do you control him? But I can easily see so many aspects that were yoinked and twisted to inspire many other modern horror games that I've played.
What is this? What's going on here?
Oh God! Oh! What is that? Was I supposed to okay, yep. I was supposed to die. I also didn't find it that scary, but that's for two main reasons. One, I was playing it in broad daylight, and two, I accidentally had fun background music playing the entire time because Microsoft Flight Simulator finished downloading, and I genuinely thought that it was part of the game. Doghouse, 11th Street. Is that more of Cheryl's things and stuff? Oh my God, this music... Wait. This music isn't from Silent Hill, is it from this? Oh my God, dude. It was really making the game less scary. And although the game never mentions Maine specifically, and the 2006 movie says it's in West Virginia, the wiki page assured me with a lot of research from other people that Silent Hill does in fact take place in Maine. Now, I was scared Vermont was going to be the only state I couldn't find a video game for. Even searching Vermont on Steam, I couldn't find anything good for it except this Super Mario clone called Super Bernie World. Until I remembered itch.io, where literally anyone could upload a game there, so I typed in Vermont and instantly 3 games came up with Vermont in the title. Game number 1 was described as a short walk through a field at night, and that's literally what the whole game was. You're walking through a forest with some text narration on screen while some music plays, and then after just about 5 minutes of playing, the game just ends. That's it! Game number 2 looks like a spooky game where you're in some cabin and the game tells you not to go upstairs. So I go upstairs and I immediately see why they didn't want me to go upstairs. Dude, that chandelier is shaking very unnaturally. It's moving like jello. I end up finding a statue of a saber-toothed tiger and then the game just ends, saying development will continue, but the last update was 3 years ago, so I don't think it's gonna continue. Game number 3 is called Vermont Life and says, please note, this game is 100% based off of real-life Vermont living. So I guess we just sit here and smack mosquitoes. Were any of these good games? That's up for debate, but you can't debate that these are in fact video games set in Vermont. I was really worried I wouldn't find anything for Alabama. I put it off until the very end because the Wikipedia page listed 2 games. Cabela's Trophy Bucks, a game which doesn't even have Alabama at all in it. Wikipedia lied to me. This is why we can't trust these lists, and that's why I'm playing the games myself. And a game that I've never heard of called Delicious. It's a restaurant simulation game where you manage a food truck driving across a dystopian America. And truthfully, I didn't really have high hopes for this game being good, let alone actually being in Alabama, but I was very wrong. It's mostly just a lot of clicking as you try and prepare as many orders as you can, but there's so much going on at once that it really starts to stress you out. Like, you can literally see my head moving back and forth, trying to manage what's on the top and the left and the bottom and the right and the top. You have special orders on the left, your food at the top, you make food on the right, then you gotta make sure you don't run out of time, and oh my god, it was exhausting. But despite the chaoticness of it, it's also weirdly relaxing at the same time. I got addicted to trying to get a gold medal, and I was having a blast with this game. Let's go! Everybody's so delicious! Let's go. That better be a fucking go. Let's go! Go! If I never would have made this video, I probably wouldn't have even heard about this game, but I'm really glad I did, because it's a lot of fun. There is a story to this game, and it takes you across 11 different territories like Idaho, Utah, South Dakota, and 18 hours into the game, at the second to last level, you get to serve food in Mobile, Alabama. There is absolutely nothing in Iowa, but surprisingly, they do have a video game that takes place there that was pretty easy to find. But there's a problem. Carnival is a 1998 arcade game about shooting evil clowns, and it's nearly impossible to emulate on your PC, let alone I don't even have the gun to play this game. Luckily, I did find someone who made a custom VR version, except that didn't work either. With my only option being a 25-year-old arcade machine, I guess this is the only state I don't get to actually play. Until I found this website that tracks old arcade machines, and there's one only 20 minutes away from me, so I hop in my mom's car, vroom vroom. But when I pull up, I'm a little nervous because this doesn't look like an arcade, so I sit in the parking lot, calming my anxiety from not only having to film myself in public, but also walking into the wrong building. Oh my god. But then I see them. Arcade machines. I have to be in the right place, so I pay literally $20 to play one arcade game. And the only thing that's going through my mind right now is, please, 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 don't prove I'm right. Sorry, that song has been stuck in my head, but please tell me that the arcade machine is actually working. And there it was. I finally was playing a game from Iowa. Here I am awkwardly filming myself because there was a bunch of kids around. But I played for 5 minutes and I left to go eat some pho because I was hungry, and I'm celebrating because we only have one state left to go. I know I've given a lot of crap to Delaware in the past, but no one ever remembers Delaware for being the second smallest U.S. state. Being the first smallest is an achievement. Being the second smallest is just sad. But it's time to give them the respect they deserve. They're the very first U.S. state, so it's only fair that they're the ones to finish off this video. But seriously, what happens in Delaware? Because I couldn't find shit. Searching on Steam let me down, itch.io let me down, Wikipedia says that Fight Club the video game is in Delaware, but I can't find a piece of solid evidence stating that to be true. But thankfully, I saved Microsoft Flight Simulator just for this. And let me tell you, this game pissed me off. I thought it was just gonna be like flying a plane in GTA and getting to fly around the world, but no, you need a PhD to be able to do anything in this game. It kept telling me that I needed to hit cruising altitude, and when I Googled it, the responses were written like I'm flying an actual plane. How the hell am I supposed to figure this out? Just tell me what cruising altitude is. How did I stall? How did I stall the engine?
124 decimal, tree, Daher Golf, Sierra Alpha. Goodbye.
Okay, but just listen, all right? I know what you're thinking. The game is literally a flight simulator. Of course, everything is gonna be realistic. Every little knob and button in the cabin does actually what it's supposed to do. Can I just like rip open the door? I mean, that's the best part about simulators, you know? You can just let your intrusive thoughts win. Okay, close it, close it. And me playing this game with zero knowledge about airplanes other than that they go burr and they go into my mouth and give me food, it probably didn't help that I skipped the tutorial. But I'm not mad at that, okay? That's not what pissed me off, that's on me. It's not an issue with the game. But let me explain something that did piss me off, okay? My plan was to start in Los Angeles and fly across the country to the Wilmington Airport in Delaware. But the game actually simulates real time, so it would have taken me literally 5 hours to do that. However, you can change the speed of the simulation, but the game doesn't really explain that to you. So after doing some Googling, I learned that it's in the settings and you have to choose a key to bind it to get it to work. And I also have a short keyboard, so half of the keyboard binds didn't work either. And because of that, every single key was already bound to something else. So I was like, okay, I'll just use my mouse then. I'll use my little side buttons here because I'm using a controller anyways. I'm not gonna use my mouse. Now here's the other annoying part. The game doesn't tell you anywhere at all what your current simulation speed is. If you hit the button, you're not really sure that it worked other than you can see that things slightly moved faster or slightly slowed down. But then you can also forget what you set it at. You could be flying and you don't know if this is real time or not. Jesus Christ. Okay, yep, the sim speed's fast. Okay, so it said if you do it all the way... Whoa, why is it? I also don't even know the steps. Like, is the next step 4 times, 8 times? It's very confusing, all right? So the internet gave a handy tip to just spam the decrease button a bunch of times, then go up by 2, and that's the default speed. So I did that, and my game sped up so fast, nothing would load. It wouldn't work, and I just had to close the game. And this happened 4 times. It's been 40 minutes, and I haven't even made it out of LAX yet. Are you kidding me? So finally I was like, screw it, I'll just speed it up 2 steps and I'll just leave it at that, all right? But as soon as I touched my mouse just a little bit, how do I keep it like steady? How do I keep it straight? Oh my god, it's every time I fucking, oh my god. I just tried to open up Flight Assistant, what do I do? And then I realized when I was setting my keybinds, I ever so slightly moved my mouse, so it actually set the bind to speed up whenever the mouse moves. Anyways, after literally an hour of all of this, I finally departed from LAX and made my journey to Delaware. All right, this one's probably a little easier for me to fly. This should be better. This should be better for me. It's not gonna go as fast. And here I was, sitting in my virtual plane, staring out the virtual window, looking down at all the virtual states that I went to. Boise, we're in Idaho. Clarksdale, Mississippi, let's go. I did it. I did it first try. Baby, we're here. Golden Gate Bridge, Las Nubes. chunk across Nebraska. Now as I was seeing the beautiful state of Delaware out of my window, wow, look how beautiful Delaware looks, guys. I'm sorry, Delaware, I wasn't familiar with your game. I didn't know you looked like that. And as I land my plane at the Wilmington airport, perfect. Beautiful landing. Taxi it? Fuck that. I'm done. I'm done with this game. I can finally say, we made it to Delaware, baby! I visited every single state in video games.